fans? Another episode of the Lunch Table coming at you here. I'm Big Teist, joined by the rest of the crew. We got Dilly, we got Bush, we got Dimaj, Trev, Saya. How we doing, boys?
Lovely.
Doing well, Teist. Doing well.
Great.
Back for another fucking banger here. We got some NBA playoff action, some
Dimaj
continuing
officially-
NBA playoff action.
Dimaj is
And-
officially the biggest Al Horford fan on the planet.
Yeah, probably. All these series, with the exception of one, are very competitive right now. It's been some good basketball. We'll start in the East with me and DiMaggio's little face off here. Nothing we ain't used to as some Packers and Bears fans.
For real. Can't
But
escape each other for whatever reason.
it's we are tied 2-2 right now. When this comes out, will be the day of Game 5 in Boston, and it's been a barn burner. I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo is shooting the worst I've seen him shoot in his entire Bucks career, which is nothing like it. That's all thanks to the Celtics' elite defense, and then you got Jason Tatum having one of his like overall worst series in the playoffs of his career shooting wise, which is, thanks to the Bucks defense. It's just been a very gritty, old school feeling series. And
Love it.
both teams have stolen one on the road. So I don't even know what to think of it at this point. I thought when Robert Williams was out last night, I was like, oh yeah, them Bucks going up 3-1. And then we were holding that lead at the end of the third. But of course, Al Horford reaches
Took over
15 years into his bag and pulls out a fucking masterpiece performance.
You can blame that on
To,
Giannis for dunking on him.
Yeah.
Tearing him down.
I think-
I still don't really know what that stare down was about, that because Giannis initiated that with that first stare down. And I don't know if there was like some back and forth earlier in the game that the camera didn't capture, but I thought that shit was so funny. And then Al Horford got him back, and they both got teed
right in
up
the
for
jaw.
it. That was
Elbow dude right in the jaw.
Yeah. But it's gonna be a good one. I'm definitely going 7, I think.
I think it's going 7-2. I think the series honestly is just so much fun to watch right now because you're
Mhm.
watching not Giannis versus Tatum, which is what a lot of people I think we're the big story, but I feel like everybody else around them are the ones that are actually shining right now. I mean, Jaylen Brown in the first win was the star of the show that whole game. Then the
Yeah.
Celtics' second win, Al Horford's the show. I mean, and I understand the third game, Giannis took over. He had like over 40 points. He had a good game, but he's still not shooting particularly well. I mean, like you said, this previous game, he's like, what is his 3-point percentage now? Like, for whatever reason, he just feels like he is Curry.
He's shooting like
and he
3
just
of
wants to
35 in the
shoot.
playoffs.
And
Yeah,
it's awful.
bad.
But I was looking at a stat. Combined, the field goal percentage is right about 40% for KD and Giannis in the playoffs when guarded against the Celtics.
Yeah.
You guys are there. Free throws are at a low, especially because of Giannis. Giannis has missed more free throws than the Celtics have.
Yep. The
By
entire
himself.
Celtics. Yep.
So it's a fun ass series. I'm loving watching every game. You should have seen me after the third game. I was heartbroken. Like, you can ask anybody in that room. I was just dead silent. I did not know how to feel.
Yeah.
I was pissed.
Mhm.
It was hard, but like the games are genuinely enjoyable after the first two being
Mhm.
blowouts by both teams, both of these games being extremely
Yeah.
close. It's just been a fun series. I can't wait
That's
to see how
how,
it all
like,
plays out.
everything is so even. They both got
Yeah.
a road win. They both had a blowout win and like a tight win.
Mhm.
And I do want to give a quick shout out to I got my 2 players of the series so far. For Boston, it's obviously Al Horford. I mean, he, even in game 3 in a losing effort, he had another really good game. I think he finished with like 22, maybe. Something like that, like low
22.
mid 20s.
and like
Um,
mid-teens boards, like 7 assists.
But yeah, but I saw a stat that Giannis's shooting percentage is like a whole 20% lower, like overall when he's guarded by Al Horford compared to like the rest of the Celtics.
Yeah.
And my other player of the series, I'm going to say Wesley Matthews, because just kind of like Al Horford being that catalyst on defense for like stopping Giannis, Wesley Matthews has kind of been the same way for Jason Tatum. His shooting percentage is much lower in one-on-one against Wes Matthews compared to anybody else on the Bucks. So his effort in like containing Jason Tatum, especially in game 3, is also been really crucial for the Bucks. So those two guys are really kind of stepping above their roles a little bit here in this series and playing some really meaningful basketball on both ends.
Well, the one that's killing me is the one guy I thought you were going to point out that he didn't was Drew Holiday on the offensive side. I thought he was going to play a big role anyways on defense. I mean, he's always been an elite defender his whole career, but he has been phenomenal scoring the whole series so far. And I genuinely, he's what killed the Boston in the third game. I mean, I know Giannis had 40, but without Drew was taking some tough shots and just hitting. And it was the whole game. And it came to show in the fourth game too. It was stressing me out. Drew has been really an important piece. And if you guys do end up getting Middleton, if it goes to game 7 in that 7th game, even if he's limited, I'm going to be stressing a little bit in that game.
I was saying it at the end of might be Bush. I got one more thing real quick. Brother. I was saying it at the end of the game yesterday. Like when Boston got hot there and it came down to like the last 3 minutes and we were still kind of within like 6 to 8. That's where we miss Chris Middleton, because he could be having a great game. He could be having like a 2 for 14 from the field game. But when you get in those last 2 minutes, he's that reliable guy that you can go to and get those clutch time buckets. So in a game 7, 100%. I mean, even if he only gets 13 minutes, I'd rather that be like 13 of the last 15 minutes, because that's when he matters. But
I was just
anyways,
say
might be Bush.
I was just going to say it's a series that you kind of never want to see end. Coming from a guy that's a fan of neither team. I mean, like more than the other, I guess you could say. It's just exciting basketball to watch. Like even if I'm not like planning on watching like the whole game, when I see the scores close, when I look it up, I instantly turn it on and watch like as much as I can before I have to go do anything else. So it's just exciting basketball. It's kind of what we've been waiting for the whole actual NBA season, and just seeing, two of your guys' teams just go head to head with a series like this fun already. Just 4 games in is exciting stuff.
The series gives me Bucks Nets vibes from last season, just like
really
the way it's gone back and forth, and the Bucks have kind of like blown some opportunities to like really take a steep lead in the series. But hopefully it doesn't take the 5 years off of my life it did last year again, because that was quite a series. But
it's almost wholesome. I mean, growing up, we all grew up with like LeBron, Chris Paul being these young guys, and with how the game's evolving, we're getting expansion teams, we're getting, teams moving locations, we're getting jersey changes, the game's changing constantly, year by year. And it's just great that, these tight games still happen and keeps everybody into it, Nowadays there's teams like the Warriors, the Dodgers, the Rams, all these teams getting all these star-studded players. It's like, damn, what's the point, But when you have teams, like the Bucks, like the Suns, like the Celtics, there's 2-3 all-stars on the teams, but the whole team is, one of the best in the league, as a whole. It just goes to show you don't need superstars, or you don't need, multiple superstars on your roster to play good ball.
I'm loving it because it reminds me of the old school. It's 2 old school teams, the Celtics and Bucks, playing very old school basketball. Yeah. It's just something that, with how the game, you're exactly right, with how the game's evolving, it's so different to watch versus all these, 3, crazy dunk. Like it's gritty, it's nasty, it's just a fun watch. It's so much more intriguing at this point to watch than any of the other series. I mean, all the other series are great so far. I mean, there's only one that's even 3-1, but this series it feels a little different than the other ones.
Another
almost
thing too
personal.
is like the Bucks and the Celtics have a very long history, especially in the playoffs. I mean, you can go back to the 74 finals where the Celtics beat the Bucks because they were in different conferences, and then all of the 1980s. I mean, probably like a solid 8 out of the 10 years of the 80s, the Bucks and Celtics met in the playoffs at some point. I mean, usually the Celtics met them in the East Finals and got the best of them, but we got a couple in there. But there's just a very rich history of like great players and great overall teams that have matched up from the Bucks and the Celtics. And like this series is living up to that legacy of just tough Rust Belt fucking Great Lakes grit basketball.
Yeah. I mean, another thing is we mentioned before, like the difference between watching pros and college is, you know, in the playoffs, you know, when a professional, you know, a 1 seed's going against the 8 seed, you know, you're not going to expect too many tight games. You know, we all can expect the same thing, but like in college, you know, like basketball, I don't know, like a few years ago, or here, St. Peter's for an example, you know, 16 versus the or 15 seed versus the 2 seed, you know, and then they just kept winning. But like in this situation, the Bucks and the Celtics, it gives us all, you know, that, you know,
Nostalgic
intensity,
feeling.
right? That intensity and shit that, you know, we all want from sports, especially, you know, with, you know, there's going to be the same few teams that are going to be, you know, the best, you know, every year for a few years, you know, and there's only going to be a few different teams that change within the playoffs. It's good to see. It's good to see.
Oh yeah. Other series going on right now in the East, knotted up 2-2. Got the Heat and the Sixers. Them Heat, they stole the first, or not stole, they won the first 2 at home against a Sixers team with no Embiid. And then the series shifted to Philadelphia. Embiid came back, and the Sixers have knotted it up, winning 2 in a row. Series now is back in Miami at the time that we're recording this, but just talking about these first 4 games here, since the 5th one isn't complete yet. It really has been a tale of 2 cities. I mean, both teams have dominated at home, and obviously Embiid being out for the first 2 games was big, but it's all knotted up now, and I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what is the score of the game 5 right now.
56-44 Miami.
Okay, so back in Miami, they got a little lead going. So I mean, it really just seems like everybody's winning their home games in this one.
Yeah.
Hey, which would look good.
That's exactly what you want to do, essentially, because if you're the higher seed, you get 4 of them in a series for you. So they're your 4 wins, because in every playoff series, it's a race to 4 wins. Whoever gets those 4 wins first gets to advance.
Oh yeah. But obviously Embiid in the 2 games he's played in has looked pretty good. I think.
Is it just me, or do those games seem like a lot slower paced than I imagined?
No, it's definitely slow paced.
Like it's not bad basketball. It's just when you're looking at all those other games, like I know we said Bucks and Celtics is gritty. I feel like the Heat game, when watching it, it's just like it's there's no fast breaks, there's no nothing. It's possession to possession to possession.
Yeah, I mean those are things that when teams that are great defenses and are facing another team with a great big, you're not gonna be able to get out in transition too much, because first off, you gotta get a rebound on a missed shot. For Miami, all series, it's looking like we're pretty good on the offensive glass so far, and not really creating fast break opportunities for Philadelphia. And honestly, I would say the same thing when Miami's looking to really run down court. There's either someone back there to set up the defense, or they grab an offensive rebound and make it hard for us to really push the ball down the court.
Yeah, no, completely agree that. I mean, it's just like I remember it was. I think it was the third game where Maxey had like 21 in the second half after going fucking over whatever in the first, and just watching that game, like I know he had an explosive performance, but watching everything else, it just felt so all over defensive wise. Like it just everybody felt like they were getting clamped up. It was like just great defense all around. No one could shoot well enough.
That's my thing personally. I don't think that I think Philly's played an adequate level of defense on Miami, but Miami's really just missing open shots. We went 3 for 17 in game 3 on open shots specifically, and when we're not hitting, we're not scoring points, and it just seems like we got a lid on the basket as the lead would continue to grow.
Yeah. Another story from that series too that I kind of forgot about is James Harden finally broke that 30-point barrier in Philly.
Yep.
Got him a little 31 piece in game 4 en route to that win. Don't really think 30 a game is sustainable for James Harden at this point, especially in the playoffs, but it's definitely got to feel good for Philly fans to see just see it happen at least once, so they know like, okay, this guy can still be capable of taking on that major, scoring load if need be. But obviously Harden's on the decline overall in his career. I mean, he's not the slashing one cut, can find any spot on the court scorer that he once was, but it'll be interesting to see if he can maybe step up his scoring load consistently.
I just want to see him be more aggressive. I mean, I know he is in a more facilitator role at this point. And he has scores around him. I mean, he has Maxey, he has Harris, and then he also has Embiid, obviously. But it's just one of those things where every time he has that ball, and I feel like he's one-on-one ISO, he doesn't take the chance where he would traditionally, try and take a step back, take a shot from 3. Like, I don't see those like aggressive, like, I'm going to shoot it in your face, I'm going to hit it. It's more like, let me look. And I think it's similar to how KD was in the Nets Celtics series, where he wasn't as aggressive as he used to be. And I think that's hurting them a little bit. If he was to just say, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to take a shot. Take the shot. It's not like, I understand that first step's not there anymore. He's not the same athletically, maybe, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he should still be an elite shooter of the ball.
It's kind of like he's taken that traditional. For some reason, he's decided to swap the way he plays to like a traditional point guard again. It's kind of like a sit pass first, score second, and we know him as a guy who's not like that. We knew him as a guy who, what was it? It was like a whole 10-game streak of him dropping 50 straight, 50 plus.
Yeah.
And that was just what, 3 seasons ago?
Yeah.
And now he's what is it? There was like a 10-game span of him not even breaking 25 points a game. It's
just
he's not nearly the same player as he once was. And I don't like the way he plays basketball, but I've always told you guys that. But I'd rather see him play the way he used to play and actually seem like he's enjoying it, rather than just, I'm afraid to shoot the ball, I don't want to miss the shot, so I'm going to pass it here, instead of actually just taking a shot, have my confidence back. I think that this 30-point game is going to boost his confidence a lot now. I think he's going to realize that he can still score. It's just, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
I think that really goes to show how important a teammate Chris Paul is, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because MVP Harden was on Chris Paul's team.
Mm-hmm.
That is facts.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the thing about Chris Paul being that point guard is that he's always been that player. Even when he was with the Hornets, I guess the Hornets back then, because that's what they originally were. he was still that pass first guy. He just scored a lot because he was open all the time, because he got open all the time. And it's kind of what he still does, except for he's depended on to be the guy that passes the ball. James Harden shouldn't be the guy that's depended on. He's a 2 for a reason.
Yeah.
So you should be
fair enough. I mean,
mean,
you
going-
look at how Chris Paul is with that D book and with the Suns. It just makes. I mean, to go to point, Chris Paul is probably more important to just the overall functioning of a team, no matter where he goes. I'm not saying
It's
he's
like Chris
the most
Paul
important team player on his team currently. I just think when you get a player like Chris Paul, it allows you to do so much more. It allowed, like, Harden could just take the ball and score. He didn't have to worry about anything else. I think Maxi's starting to take that role from him in Philadelphia. And Harden's just like, you know what, Youngie, do it. I ain't got the energy for this. I never said I want to be a great all time. I just was out here to play basketball. I'm gonna do me. You do you now. It's all good. I think it's more like that type of situation at this point. And I just wish you would just take a damn shot, bro. Like, I just keep watching the game. It's killing me because I get not loving that style of play anymore, but it's not him. And it just seems like he's not enjoying himself anymore.
And back on Chris Paul real quick before we move on. Like I just said, it's that Chris Paul effect. I mean, you really think about it. Goes to the Clippers, Clippers go to the playoffs. Goes to the Rockets, Rockets go to the playoffs. Goes anywhere. Now the Suns, they're about to
made a
the
playoff.
Thunder made a playoff with the Thunder that should not even been close to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Now he's looking at possibly, which we all believe they're going to make I mean, knock on wood, we all think they're going to go extremely far in this playoff.
I mean,
But it's because of
Don't
who he
fucking
is and what
start.
he does.
Shut your mouth.
hey, okay. I know the next series we're about to talk about is the Suns Mavs. I don't even need to talk the rest of the time. I'm not gonna talk no shit. I just want to shout out Michael Anderson and Zach Waltz because they currently have a bet. It started after game. It was right before game 2. They betted at whoever loses gets smacked hard as hell, like cocked all the way back, hands on the table. You know those slap fights on YouTube? Yeah, that type shit.
That's crazy.
Whoever loses gets smacked. So I'm rooting for neither. I personally want the Suns as a Arizona person, but I'm trying to see someone get smacked. So honestly, at the end of the day, I'm cool with either one winning at this point. I'm having a great time watching that series.
I'm hoping that the Suns pull through, but you got to think about just Luka's being arguably one of the greatest scorers already.
Luka's a bitch, bro.
Luka is such a bitch, Trev.
He is,
No
but the
cap.
dude
No
drops
cap.
buckets. That guy scores points, and he's just
Luka's a bitch.
That dude shot fucking 9 for 26 and 1 for 10 and still dropped like 27 points.
It's ridiculous.
Somehow
I mean, he's averaging 35 points, 7 assists and 10 rebounds.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's got the charity stripe all game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean,
he's playing that old school James Harden basketball right there.
Really is.
Speaking of Chris Paul, the calls, some of those calls that got him fouled out in the third quarter there in game 4 were so questionable. I mean, that last one that he got fouled out on, where his hands were literally just up in the air. I mean, that is some of the worst officiating I've ever seen. I think that game 4 overall is one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen, just with some of the calls they were giving Luka on the other end too, not just Chris Paul, but that was a very terrible game. I definitely think the refs kind of bailed the Mavs in that game with Chris Paul going out. I mean, Mr. Fourth Quarter didn't even get there, but shout out to Dorian Finney-Smith. I mean, he really stepped up and
he was
hitting
shots.
Water,
I mean, bro.
The whole Mavs team outside of Luka was just shooting the lights out in that game, especially in the fourth quarter. They just were not letting that lead get chipped down any. But going back, this is another one of those series, just like the Heat. It looks like every team probably going to win their home games, which is good for the Suns because they got that home game 7. But yeah, that was just a very some of those calls were very questionable in that game. I did not like, especially in the NBA playoffs, the fucking playoffs. You're calling some of that shit.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But it's been a good series. Like I said, the Mavs role players are all playing really well. And obviously Luka, no matter how he's doing it, he's putting points on the fucking scoreboard. So,
I mean,
I think honestly the real difference has been Jalen Brunson. I mean, realistically, I mean, you look at the first 2 games and he was awful. And the next 2 games after that, he scores like 26 or something, and then almost 20
game
again in the next game, and a closer game. But they were both good at his shooting and actually being the player that he was in the first round. It's helped a lot, I feel like.
Yeah. You need your role players to step up big for you in series and games and during series for you to advance.
Mm-hmm. I'm talking about role players going into that final series that we haven't talked about, that Golden State and Memphis series. Was just hearing the news about Ja possibly being out for the rest of the playoffs.
That's very unfortunate.
As any Memphis fan would probably say, they're really hoping that all their role players are going to play just the greatest basketball they've ever played in their entire life. But as sad as it is to say, I think that series is pretty much all but over now. Without having your best player by far on the court. I mean, even if they technically played better plus minus wise without him on the court, it's just different. Him being on the sideline or on the sideline the whole rest of the series is just not going to get it done for him. The way the Warriors are playing again is just stupid. It kind of just reminds you of the old school Warriors to just score some more, and it's just, I mean, it's kind of say like, I can't say that I saw it coming, seeing the Warriors resurgence again, but I think everybody can say that they saw it coming. So.
I mean,
it's going to be tough because I think the Memphis Grizzlies are a year too early because this year that the emergence of Jordan Poole and getting Clay back all in 1 year was probably just a little too much for them.
Along with Dre having another season that's arguably the best defensive player in the league again.
Yeah, the Warriors being the Warriors, and having that veteran leadership, especially in the playoffs where everyone knows what to do, especially guys like Dre, Steph, Clay, those guys being able to
have an Andre Iguodala back again in their role players.
And being able to lead them all to what's going to look like a Western Conference Finals.
Yep.
I mean, it's just at this point, it's one of those series that, like, if Ja was playing, it'd be fun to talk about. But like at this point, it just seems like the Warriors are steamrolling.
We could just forget about it,
Yeah, like I know.
Move on.
I know it was fun watching, but
yeah.
The Warriors are probably going to win the next game, and that's it. The other games at least got 2 more. This one, I feel like it's done. It's you call it.
It'll be wrapped in 5.
I will say though, the Grizzlies, you got to look at the bigger picture here. If you're like a Grizzlies fan, which I'm sure a lot of them are, you have the 2 teams that would have been standing in your way this year of a title run are Golden State and Phoenix, which Phoenix is like a little bit younger of a core than Golden State, but both of them are headed by aging veterans. Yeah. And so if you look at like a 5-year outlook for the Grizzlies, you've found your core. Now, like, all you have to do is develop and grow chemistry. I mean, that's a perfect situation to be in where you don't have to go out and find really that big missing piece. All you have to do is let the pieces that you have really like fuse together into one like super cohesive unit, which I mean, I'd say right now they're probably already like 80 to 85% there.
Yep.
And the average age of their core is like 22. That's such a good position to be in where you can look at like the next 8 to 10 years and be like, yeah, we have a realistic shot of like keeping these guys together and growing and developing them. Cause that's the biggest time. That's the biggest thing you need with a team is time for them to like grow together. Literally. I mean, that's why like some of these quick fire, like throw together a super team experiments have tended to fizzle out and like fail more often than they really hit, because like there's no guarantee that you can get the right pieces. Like you could get a bunch of really shiny good pieces, but they might not fit together. So for the Grizzlies, like, yeah, they're out this year, tough injury to Ja, but if they can all just continue to develop and grow together and get healthy and stuff, especially Ja, if he can just work on his durability, that's a very scary team that is definitely going to be contending for titles in the West.
I was going to say, to add on to that, within the next 8 to 10 years, you can probably see him winning at least 1 or 2 championships down the road. So
definitely,
I'd say
I could at least.
I'd say on the flip side, though, the only con to having all of your young guys on the same timeline is who's getting paid, because
That's
you
true.
got Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, John Morant, Steven Adams, and that's really just their best top 5 overall. And you got to think a 28-year-old Steven Adams might be out of there in a year or two. They also got a 28-year-old Kyle Anderson that also might be out of there in a year or two. So as long as they can keep, I would say Ja, Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr., I would say those 3 guys could lead them.
I agree. That's kind of what you got to do. I mean, the Suns are kind of looking at that similar situation coming up soon, because you got Bridges and Ayton and Cam Johnson, who are all going to be looking for that first big like league payday. And so it's going to be tough. I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns have to say goodbye to one of those 3 guys there, because you got Book already locked up. You got Chris Paul. Obviously he's on his like 2-3 year deal. So 4. Yeah. So I would say I would imagine they commit to Ayton, and then
they have to give up Johnson. I feel like if there's
one
player,
I think so too.
Bridges and Ayton have to.
I agree. I mean, he deserves to be a starter somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, he does. And it's just, he's supposed to be a great scorer off the bench, but he just in that role right now with Bridges just being absolutely just clamps and scoring well still, you're not taking that spot.
Yeah, it's something that we last year when we saw Cam Johnson kind of blossom into the player he is today, it kind of hurt. I mean, I'm not even a Suns fan, but I can definitely say it hurt seeing him come off the bench being that gifted and not even being close to being in the top 5 of that team. I mean, we saw Bridges kind of blossom at the same time, but it was just quicker and way more developed in every single way possible than Cam Johnson is. Cam Johnson, like Dilly said, deserves to start somewhere. And I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of teams calling his name this next offseason trying to get him over there. I don't know when his contract's up, but I know damn well that whenever that contract's over, he's going to get probably a call from at least 28 out of the 30 teams in the NBA. So,
well, we signed Mikal to a 4-year deal last year, as well as Chris Paul. Cam Johnson's rookie deal should be up after the season, if not next.
I think the question for the Suns will be: Do you want to keep Jay Crowder? How much longer do you see Jay Crowder being a Sun?
I think a bigger one is DeAndre Ayton.
Well, I think DeAndre Ayton will get his contract after the season for sure.
You think so?
I think so too.
Right?
Yeah.
He's a free agent. Yeah, he's a free agent after this year. So yeah, but maybe
I'd imagine he's a restricted free agent though, right?
You could let Jay walk, keep Cam Johnson, put him in the lineup, and get another
young guy in the back
to back them up. Let Campaign walk. Fuck Campaign heavy, but
we saw the rise and downfall really fast. Campaign.
Aaron Holiday hasn't been a terrible pickup for the Suns. I wasn't a big fan of it when it happened, but he's producing, what he needs to produce. He doesn't get much minutes in the playoffs, but when he played, in the regular season, he didn't do too bad. I love Torrey Craig so much. I don't care how bad he shoots some days, how good he shoots some days. Torrey Craig's a dog.
Nah, he 100% is. He's a key unit. I mean, he's a key
Still got
part of
Frank
that
the
team,
Tank.
even with being out for injury. But
We released Frank the Tank.
Really?
Yeah.
On the
You got
roster
Oh,
that
that's
could,
tough.
I think you're thinking of Dario Saric was still son.
Dario Saric.
Oh,
yeah.
is
he
he?
hurt too.
Didn't he
He
get
was-
hurt in the
yeah,
playoffs? Is he even
got
back
hurt in the
yet?
playoffs last year. He got hurt in the playoffs
Dario-
last year. He tore his ACL. But I would
Dario
rather have.
Saric
I'd
should not
rather have
be on the
JaVale.
Suns roster.
Well, you never know.
Dario Saric would hoop you up, Bush.
Dario Saric.
Many of
no,
us up in here.
Well, I
if you
hate to break it to you,
if
but I'm
if
probably
you
about a
watch
good
film on Dario
12
Saric,
inches shorter than
he
Dario
is not-
Saric is. So
he is a great backup big.
He really
But
is.
I-
A backup.
I'd rather have JaVale.
Didn't
I think
motherfucker win
JaVale was
Rookie
a
of the
really
Year?
key addition to your team. He's played really good defense. He's been a paint
He can shoot.
controller, basically just everything about the paint he screams, and you've needed
Yeah.
that.
I'd rather have Rudy Gobert on my team than Dario Saric. And I
Well,
hate Rudy
yeah.
Gobert.
Well,
I'd
And I
rather have
hate-
him.
and I-
that's not even a question.
And I hate Rudy Gobert.
Did Dario
Speaking of-
Saric win
speaking of
Rookie of the
Rudy
Year?
Gobert, I think he
I
might
think
have.
he was in contention.
I'm trying. Like on the Sixers, I feel like he did.
It was Saric win Rookie of the Year.
No.
He was on the All Rookie first team. in
Was he a-
2017.
Oh,
Was he a
they lost to Brogdon.
I was about to say, was he a finalist with Brogdon?
It was
Yeah.
Joel Embiid and Saric. Joel Embiid lost to Brogdon.
That's tough. I think.
That's
I
tough.
think that was the year he like only played like 40% of the season,
Yeah.
and so like they threw him in there because he was so good. But
But he couldn't win it
Yeah.
just because like he didn't play.
What were you saying, Si?
But I was saying, speaking of Rudy Gobert, Rudy Gobert has got some words for the legend Shaq.
Yeah.
Superman himself, huh?
Little Twitter argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Twitter fingers.
little Twitter argument. I think officially it was something like Shaq was asked, "How well do you think Rudy Gobert would defend you?" And he would end up going on to say, "I would score 12 points in like 4
Yeah,
minutes."
somebody said that he'd hold him to 12 points, and Shaq's like, yeah, 12 points in 4 minutes.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then,
I mean, Rudy Gobert. I mean, I go ahead, like bet on yourself. You know, like have that self confidence, but you would not lock up the Diesel in his prime. I mean, fucking
Not even
Bush. You just
close.
showed us a video before we went on of the Diesel fucking sunning David Robinson
And that's
and
David
dunking
Robinson.
on his head.
Yeah, you
that's
don't
the
you don't
fucking
see that
general.
every day against David Robinson.
David Robinson, I'm
That's a
pretty
Hall
sure
of
he was,
Famer.
I'm pretty sure
he
he
is
was,
a Hall of Famer.
I'm pretty sure he was a defensive player of the year, if not real close to winning one. And
He-
he's
I think he
also
was a defensive player of the
he's
year.
also like 280 pounds of pure muscle, and
Yeah, that dude's the bicep god.
and
David
and-
Robinson, also a little fun fact, is one of only like I think 5 players to have a quadruple double recorded in
Yeah,
a game.
that guy was
So
a-
shout
that guy's a
out for
bucket.
that.
Yeah.
That guy was a bucket
Yeah.
for no reason. For no reason, he was like the original stretch big. The guy was just a demon.
Just that guy.
But yeah, I mean, if Shaq could do that to fucking David Robinson, who,
David-
I mean, he
and-
just fucking docked over his resume. Rudy Gobert would
he could
not
do that
stand a
to Rudy
chance.
Gobert.
That's just
David Robinson is absolutely just a more skilled player than Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
If you listen to the awards David Robinson won in his career,
Oh, yeah.
1990 Rookie of the Year, 1990 All Rookie Team, 91, 92, 95, 96 All Defensive Team, 91, 92, 95, 96 All NBA, 92 Defensive Player of the Year, and 95 MVP.
Mm.
Yeah, he's
A bunch of awards that Rudy Gobert does not have.
got a couple of
No.
chips on him too.
yeah.
No, and the biggest difference between David Robinson and Rudy Gobert is David Robinson is by no stretch of the imagination in any way, shape, or form soft, and Rudy Gobert screams soft. So I mean, you tell me, math doesn't really add up for Rudy there, but
Yeah, I'm not really understanding the equation.
Again, we'll
there
never
for
know. I
Gobert,
mean,
but
it's like who would win one-on-one, LeBron or Jordan in their prime? We'll really never know. So I guess he can think what he wants, but
Mhm.
I'm not seeing any credibility in that claim.
Nah, he's wrong. We can say he's wrong.
Yeah, he's simply.
it's
No,
kind of just a.
I think he's the
this
only
is-
one that feels that way.
I think that, and I also think that this pod is the last 3 episodes has turned into a Rudy Gobert hate page, and I love to see it because I've been telling you guys how soft I think that man is, and it's just kind of funny that it's just all just spilling up pieces now. So
We should have
shit,
Rudy
you get
Gobert on
shit.
as a guest.
I mean, it's simple as that.
I mean, it started with him being a big wuss and pretty much starting the whole COVID situation in the NBA. And after
I mean, dude's so good at dude's so
like-
good at defense. He shut down the whole league. I mean,
Rudy Gobert literally brought COVID to America, I think. I mean, I don't think we can disprove that.
There's no way to say it.
I didn't hear of any cases before that. So
Yeah, facts. On
We're
God.
not. Rudy Gobert was the first.
You really
He really
it's
was
kind of
the
just
first.
like it's like that Soldier Boy argument. You know how
And he gave it
started
to,
everything.
He gave it to Divac.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he
Fucking, he just like rubbed on the mics and everything. Next day, oh, Rudy Gobert has COVID. Oh, what?
Yeah, no way.
Fucking
Then
Todd
immense
put his hands all over the mic.
Yeah.
then the bubble started and the Lakers just won the sorriest NBA Finals award ever. So
And he had
Let's go
AD
on.
crying like the little bitch he is
Lakers
for
still won.
winning a fucking a bubbleized NBA playoffs. AD is soft too.
Hey,
AD
there,
is
there,
soft.
there was nothing wrong with that bubble season.
Oh yeah, there was nothing wrong with that, huh?
Every-
Nothing wrong with
everyone-
that,
I'm
son?
not
Everyone-
complaining.
hold on,
Suns
hold
went
on.
8-0.
Hold on, everyone got put under the same conditions, the same rules, and it was play whoever's in front of you.
he's got to
No,
be a
you're
Tyler
completely
Hero
right
fan.
about that.
Yeah, it's crazy because Tyler Hero fans speak now.
Tyler Hero
It's
fan.
crazy.
Take it right at it.
Yeah, it's crazy. The Tyler Hero fan just starts to
Yeah.
speak a little bit more than usual. It's crazy.
I mean, shit. What? Who did Miami beat in that bubble series? Didn't we have
swept
to
the
run
Bucks.
through?
Or no,
with the-
Bucks
I
and
know,
5,
I
I think.
Yeah,
Bucks and 5. Didn't we have to play those sorry
Hey,
C's over
hey,
there in
be-
Boston
be-
too?
Oh, sorry,
be real,
see, that's
though.
how we feel.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
okay. Yeah,
Hey,
you
let's
did.
be real. Let's
You
be real
did.
here, though. Let's be
Hey,
real here.
Sai is allowed
That-
to talk that shit. He's got the 1 seed.
Let's remember,
Yeah,
though.
that too.
Hey,
The
nah,
best-
talk
best
your
team in the
shit.
league. Yeah,
Talk your
best team in the
shit.
league.
Because either
Let's
me
remember,
or Tice
that's
are gonna
when
be playing
that's
y'all
when
next round, unless y'all lose to sorry Sixers. But that's on you.
Hey, that we got to remember. That's the year that the pictures of Jimmy B being completely exhausted came out of that.
That was
That was,
good.
that was that was when Jimmy didn't get a haircut for
That's-
the
That
entire
was also
bubble.
That's
Tom
when-
Brady's last year as a Patriot.
Isn't
Hey,
that
we're gonna talk
also
about-
the
anyways.
year that Jamal Murray posted a picture of his bologna on Instagram?
Oh shit.
And he, and
I was
he's been
gonna
out, and he's
say-
been out ever since.
We're so adding him on this Instagram post. Like at Jamal Murray. What you got to say to this big dog?
Bad idea. Bad idea.
It was a bad idea. But was it worth it? Maybe.
Definitely.
Oh shit.
He
Seemed
got it.
like
He got
fun. Hey.
he got his girlfriend some more followers on Instagram. I believe she's a Kentucky volleyball player. So if I'm not mistaken.
I'll be honest. I don't think.
Hey, that's
I
a
don't-
good
I don't think
transition,
it was
Bush.
his girlfriend.
I think that's about wrapping up the NBA talk. You mentioned Kentucky there. We didn't really talk about this much, but I got to shout out my boy Rich Strike.
Rich.
Fucking
8-1.
biggest underdog in Kentucky Derby history.
Yes, sir.
Fucking showed up late to the event. He was a last second entry into the race. And what an
80
incredible, I mean, if you watch the
80 to
aerial
1
view of
odds.
that full race, the way he split those two horses and found that lane on the inside, it was honestly crazy. And then the video of him talking that cheddar to the other horses, like up in their ear after the race. I mean, the dude's an outlaw. Good on Rich Strike. Fucking probably just made a bunch of people a bunch
you
of money.
guys-
So
If you guys don't understand how rare an 80-1 odds is, it's kind of just like the Jets winning the AFC next year. So if you want to put that into perspective, 80-1.
If you want to place a bet on that, might as well.
Yeah.
Imagine that cash out.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
You might want to put a
Okay.
dollar on that.
Probably-
You might win
that's-
a lot of money.
curious what the odds were for the Bengals to win the AFC last year, like right after the draft, like around this time. I wonder if those
shout
were
out,
similar
shout out
odds,
to
just
my
some rich
shout out to
strike.
my uncle about the Bengals. He usually
Oh
usually puts a bet on the Bengals going to the Super Bowl as like a joke every year. And last year was the year he didn't do it. So
Nice.
Wow.
That's tough.
yeah. So shout out to my
That's
uncle
tough.
there.
Good on him.
Yeah.
Hey, it's something
Hey,
like
that's
that.
gambling,
Like
baby.
Jordan's mom does the lottery, and she always picks the exact same numbers. And the one time she didn't do the lottery, those exact numbers were called.
Wow.
That's so tough.
You gotta stay-
Wow,
That is gambling,
That's
baby.
consistent.
They know.
That is gambling.
They
No
know
cap.
things that
Vegas
like there's
knows.
no humanly possible way that they know, but they know. So
The Vegas know, man.
But
that is-
Vegas always knows something we don't know.
Hey, speaking of Kentucky, though,
house rules.
the Dallas mayor wants another NFL team in Dallas. I know we mentioned when we were talking earlier that we mentioned Kentucky as a possible spot for an expansion, as
Yeah,
well
look, we're-
as Montana, either the Dakotas, Austin or San Antonio, Utah, all these other states without a team.
And just like Tice was talking about, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw in the next few years having 40 NFL teams, because you can't just add the one and make it 33. And if you just add another one, it'd be 34, and then it still would just make everything just not run right.
You would have
Why
to
not
add
run-
8 teams to
Mhm.
make everything still even.
Exactly. So within the next, like Tice was saying earlier, 20 years, I wouldn't be surprised if we had 40 NFL teams. So
And the other thing is like there's so many untapped markets. We were all talking about it. I mean, you look at the strip of Mississippi, Arkansas and Alabama down there in the deep South. I mean, yes, it's like technically that's like college football territory, and college football runs down there, but football is football is football is football. And I'm damn sure that if you put a pro football team down there in one of the most like blue-blooded
Populated.
football cultures in all of America, that shit would be a whopping success. I think one of those
Down mid of
states
Hicktown.
in that area is desperate for a
Mhm.
football team. I think the Dakotas or Montana,
Mhm.
go up there, maybe even like flirt around with going into Southern Canada. I know we were talking about maybe like the CFL, not really wanting the NFL stepping on their toes there, but
I mean,
I
Tice,
definitely
you were
think
talking
that-
about. Go ahead, Tice. I'll let you finish real quick.
I was just going to say, I definitely think that in the next 20 to maybe 30 years, I think an expansion of 8 more teams in the NFL, especially being pretty much the premier football league. I mean, not pretty much, like they are the premier
They are.
football league in the world. I mean, it's not like soccer where you can go to like any country in Europe and, there's some like big premier soccer league or soccer fucking
And then
but
there's
you know what I'm
6 different
saying?
minor
Like, I
lea-
feel
yeah,
like there's a
and
lot
there's
more
6
of a
different minor
spread
leagues.
of like talent and like echelon around the world for other sports like
Yep.
that there really isn't with football. So
And
I
you
definitely
were talking
think it's
about-
realistic to bring it to 40 teams in the next 30 to 40 years,
And within that time period, like you're talking about, having a few of those teams maybe being out of the country, like a London team you were talking about, possibly even a Vegas or a Mexico team coming out. And then now we're seeing a team or a game being played in Germany. Why not have a German team possibly in the league as well? I mean, it could be more than just a North America game, it'd be
Australia is not too, they're fairly big on football too.
The
they are
time
rugby,
difference,
but I'm sure they would
from New
definitely
York
cross
to
over.
London is the same time difference as LA to New York. So I mean, like, you would think it would be weird, but like Americans deal with the time difference for football as it is already. So I mean, I think there'd definitely be a way to incorporate some European teams into the NFL in the future.
The only thing that would probably cause probably hesitancy is probably that how far would European teams have to travel, because they'd be traveling to the US potentially, then back home to the US to London, back home. Like That could
Yeah,
be
that's
because I did see something
Yeah.
earlier this year that when schedules were released, the Seahawks have to travel the farthest out of any team in the NFL compared to Pittsburgh, where Pittsburgh doesn't even leave the eastern coast. So
Damn.
Well, I mean, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
no,
I've been to London, and it's an 8.5 hour flight from Dallas. So if it's almost like the London team would have to not travel the day before, but a couple days before, so they can get rid of the jet lag.
yeah,
well, also they could
train
do
to
the
wake
same
up
thing
on
that
time.
the Hawaii college football team, I believe the way they do their scheduling is where they try to like cluster up a lot of their road games together into like maybe like one section of the schedule. So it's almost like, okay, we're going to get our road games out of the way. Like we're going to go on our long haul to all these different road games. And then we're going to come back home and then everybody's coming to us. So like, it would definitely take like a maybe a shift in philosophy of like how NFL schedules are written. Cause obviously that would like create a sort of uneven playing field if like these European teams had to like play 6 road games in a row while everyone else just has a normal schedule. But
yeah,
I definitely think there's freaking people who are a lot smarter than we are who could figure this shit out. But I definitely think there's a way to make it work if like in the future, if it really came to that. But I think the NFL is a growing brand. I mean, the amount of like fandom that there is in those European countries when they see maybe one game in person a year, and who knows if it could be their favorite team or not, is just like crazy. So
yeah. I mean,
they're
feel
definitely
like
going to have to expand at least in the United States soon. I think the market is there, and there's so many eager owners or potential owners who want to get in that game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'd like as far as the NFL being and growing as a brand because what we had 2 games in London last year, and now we're going back for what like 4 plus.
Yeah, I think there's 4 in London and
Plus the
1 in
Mexico
Germany.
one.
Germany.
And
Yeah,
Mexico.
and then we're getting another back in Mexico. We've already had a couple in Mexico, and we've seen the success that we had there. So I see why. And then obviously growing to 2 to 4 games is big, really big.
I was talking about that strip again of that Arkansas, Alabama, and Mississippi territory. I heard on a video my roommate was watching that the founder of Walmart's son is trying to buy out Denver and make them like a brand new stadium. So I was thinking, why not have, instead of him buying Denver, buy a new team and put it in Arkansas and have Walmart be the biggest sponsor. Yep, have Walmart be the biggest sponsor that it could be. Have that massive stadium, not for a team that already has a stadium, a brand new stadium. Like a brand new team, a brand new stadium, brand new fan base that's based in Arkansas. I mean, why not? Why not?
There's so many guys who could do that. I mean, the rumors of Jeff Bezos wanting to buy an NFL team have been circulating for a while. I mean, if he did that, he could literally, it would be chump change, and he could build the nicest stadium, the nicest campus, the nicest locker rooms. Exactly. I mean, and they could all use like their brands, their companies as the biggest sponsors. There's so much money out there that like people are literally like dying to put in to owning an NFL team. It's literally the most coveted position you can be in, is being a big 3 a pro sports owner in America, whether that be an NBA team, an MLB team, or an NFL team. But I feel like the NFL, just in terms of like the revenue, is starting to separate itself from those other 2 a little bit. It's so coveted. I mean, the richest owner in sports is also the newest. It's the guy from the Panthers. I can't think of his name, but he's the newest owner in pro sports, and he's also the richest. So, I mean, that just kind of shows you the trajectory that the big 3 leagues are headed in terms of like new ownership coming in. It's going to be these tycoon billionaires who just have so much of their own personal wealth to throw at the leagues to make them better. So, yeah, I mean, the NFL would be stupid to not at least get maybe 2 to 4 teams, like an expansion project going in the next 5 years, because there's definitely the desire for it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
shoot, anybody got anything else?
Real quick, Super Bowl teams. Wait till where the Super Bowl teams go. You can be as biased as you want or as unbiased as you want.
Give me the Steelers. No, I'm just kidding. Like, give me the Steelers. Give me Kenny Pickett winning offensive rookie of the year. Give me. No, I'm just kidding. I'll take.
That's actually really tough.
I'm
I'll
gonna
take the
say
Bills. I'll take the Bills, and I'll take the. Go ahead, Bush.
Give me Chargers, Eagles.
I was gonna say
Really?
I was gonna say Broncos.
See,
Eagles.
Hey, I was literally just thinking, Bills, Eagles.
Are we all thinking
say-
Eagles right now? Like for
I
what?
was gonna say I think
I
I'm
like
gonna
the
see
Eagles
Chargers
a
Eagles.
lot.
Yep.
Like I
The
liked their
Eagles?
draft.
Yeah,
I
the
think
Eagles.
this is the season where Hurts finally takes that step.
Yeah.
But and their defense is looking good. They just like their front seven
They just
massive.
they also just added AJ Brown, so it's another weapon
Yeah,
for
I'm
a
saying.
loaded offensive row.
They were second in the NFC East, 3 games behind the Cowboys. That put them at the 7th seed in the playoff bracket. So they're already a playoff team. And just like you said, getting AJ Brown to pair with Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts, big. And then the draft was a really good hit for them.
And I think the Chargers the same way. I think it's gonna be Chargers Eagles, just like DeMonte said. I think that Charger team has no flaws now. I think there literally is no flaws on that team. I think that draft kind of just finished out already what we talked about. And I think that very much is going to be the best team in the AFC. I think it's going to be close. I think just like DiMaggio said, that entire conference or division could make the playoffs. But I think that the Chargers are going to be the best team in the AFC next year. And I don't even think it's going to be.
This might be a little bit of a hot take to some of y'all, but despite the past couple of years of them being, one of the top teams in the league and falling short in the playoffs, not the best draft class, but with Quay Walker complementing the defense, I think if they go out and really push for Odell, the Packers will be in the Super Bowl.
I hate that.
I can see it.
Pick. That was awful.
I can see it.
I never want to hear that shit again. No, never, ever in my life do I want to hear Dilly say Packers are going to be a Super Bowl. I'll hear from Tice every day of the week. I don't give a damn. He's a fan. That felt like a low blow. That hurt. Never do that to me again.
My name is Big Tice, and I approve that message.
That's funny.
That's some shit,
we could be real.
I hate you for that.
The Bears aren't going anywhere, man. At least
I'm going to throw out Rams Raiders. I think the Rams get out of the NFC again, and I got the Raiders out of the AFC.
And real quick, because we're on this
I'll
topic
take that take back.
of the NFL, Brady missing the Super Bowl could very much lead to his very, very first commentating over a game with his brand new 10-year, $375 million deal being a commentator.
I'm tired of hearing Tom Brady.
Yeah, honestly, can I
to be completely honest, I'm tired of it. Like I respect
sick of this guy.
I respect him, man, for what he's done. But go just have some more. Go have some more kids. Go finally take a vacation in Cancun or something, dude.
I mean, you got a model for a wife, bro, and you're out here doing this. I mean, go have a honeymoon.
Being unbiased real quick. I think it's going to be another twist on a Tony Romo type situation, just understanding what's going on, and just like Tice was talking about, being in the if he's commentating over a Patriots game like Tice was talking about earlier, he's going to know exactly what Belichick's thinking in every single type of situation. So I think it's going to be pretty good for just the game of football having somebody high caliber as Tom Brady being a guy that's talking over the game.
I think the difference is Romo's likable. If I hear
Yeah.
That's
Brady
fair.
one more fucking time, I'm
That's fair.
no, get him out. I'm fine.
That's fair.
He's when I found out he unretired that day, I was more pissed about that than anything the Packers have done. And I hate the Packers. I absolutely hate and despise everything about that team. Found that out, damn near cried. Did not want to deal with the day. Thought, my life's over. It's fine. Brady's back. It's cool. Whatever. It's not like the Bears had a shot, but like it still hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have to hear him talk every day while watching games, no.
Somebody find this man a hobby.
For real.
That is
Football can't be the only thing you do, right? I know you golf on the weekends.
Yeah, join the Masters,
Facts.
bro. Go get
No, go back,
All right, relax.
go back to school, just like JR did. Go find another degree that you can add to your resume.
Literally.
Start a
And
podcast
just-
like
yeah.
every other retired athlete, like in
Yes.
fucking 2020 and up. Like just go start your podcast.
I mean,
and like mind your own business, dude.
just be the legend you are.
This podcast is
Quit
also kind of
bothering
full
people.
of retired athletes here. So
Yeah, it is.
That's true.
other than me,
Yeah, fair enough.
everybody's officially a retired athlete. So
Might be
Bit
20,
of a
but
flex,
need
Bush,
40.
little flex.
Tell him
not a subtle flex. Not a subtle flex.
Subtle flex.
And hey, D-Mon just doing it.
Hey man, I mean, hey, I've been going to jail. No, it's fine.
All right, boys. Anybody got any final thoughts?
Nah.
All good, man.
Takes and 7.
I don't know if anybody's watching Winning Time, but the season finale did not live up to the hype.
For
That's all
real,
I
I
have
haven't
to
seen
say.
it yet. I'm about to watch it tonight.
It's just,
Didn't live with the hype.
I don't know. Let me know what you think next week, Dimaj. I don't know. It didn't live up for me.
Tice, I can already feel what you're putting down. Usually, I feel like it's the season enders are always underwhelming, so they can really right back in for season 2.
That's facts. Yeah, they're gonna hook, line, and sinker me again. I already know it. But yeah, all right. That's my final thought.
Lovely. All right.
Sounds good.
We did it again,
All right,
boys.
audience, like, subscribe. We'll catch y'all next week.
Sure.
Dude.
Peace.